Hi. Um, Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show. So on the bottom left, we've got George Watkinson. And on the right, we've got Jordan Scheidecker. Is that how you say your name?
Yes, sir. That was a good guess.
There you go. So George is originally from Liverpool. He's a Scouser, but he is lucky enough to live in Los Angeles thanks to his dad having a pretty cool job. And Jordan is from Missouri, but played basketball at the University of Whitewater. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And George is passionate about basketball. He follows the NBA and stuff, but he doesn't know anything about wheelchair basketball. So he has a few questions for us about wheelchair basketball and things like that. And Jordan was a player. You still play, or you just a coach now?
Currently, I'm not playing for any team. No, I'm currently coaching as a graduate assistant for the University of Nebraska Omaha.
Okay, cool. So, and Jordan, the reason I've got in contact with Jordan is because he's quite active on social media, and from what I can see, you love coaching wheelchair basketball, and you love coaching the kids, and you love teaching. Like it's bigger, the bigger picture sort of thing. It's not just basketball. There's a lot to it, and yes, that's why I contacted you to get involved, and then just through family connections and stuff. That's why George is here to come and tell us a little bit about his basketball story and how he feels it connects people and things like that. So George, tell us a little bit about yourself and just tell us about yourself. What you do, why you like basketball.
I moved over to America when I was 6 years old. So I've been here most of my life, and it was in the middle of Kobe's final two championships with the Lakers. So basketball was probably the biggest sport in the city at the time. And I came over to America. I turned on the TV and I saw actually LeBron play first, and that really what got me hooked. I'd never seen anyone jump and fly through the air like that and dunk a basketball. I've never even seen basketball before, so I was like, this is amazing. So I've been watching ever since.
Cool. We have the clip that you I think from the game that you first watched. So Rupert, if you could play that clip.
Yeah, my favorite shot. Yeah,
we've got it.
Mo Williams will throw in. Rashard Lewis playing off the ball. Lewis gets it to LeBron.
Guys,
for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer as the Cavaliers have pulled it out to tie the series, and what a miraculous shot by James!
Possibly a foul.
Wow. LeBron James off the inbound. That's his first three-pointer of the night. How about this as a follow-up to the clutch shot by Hedo Turkoglu and the Cleveland Cavaliers, after
there's a lot of emotion in those guys there.
Three-point lead, are indeed fortunate to come away with a incredible victory.
Well, Mark, you said I told you wanted that ball going away from the basket. They forced him away.
Yeah, that's cool, Rupert.
He caught it and made an incredible shot. That's what MVPs do.
So tell us a bit more about when you saw that play happen and how it got you hooked on the game.
Well, so my dad, the year before, he'd had his birthday party, and it was during when Lakers lost to the Celtics. No, that's when I first found out. And then I was watching TV, turned it on one day, tuned into that game, and then he made that shot at the end of it. I've never seen a buzzer beater before, and I was like, with all the pressure on his shoulders, with all the people watching, people less than like 5 feet away from him, fans. That's another thing I didn't really understand about basketball, is how close you can actually be to it. And he made that with all that pressure and all the attention on him. And it was his first three of the game. He hadn't even made a 3-pointer before that.
Wow. It's pretty epic. And that's obviously, you're from Liverpool, which is a huge football like City or soccer for you, Jordan. And like you say, the fans are so close compared to football. Like the fans are really on top of you in basketball compared to football, where they can be sort of like, well, I don't know distance-wise, but they're a lot further away. And yeah, it's a lot more intense and a lot more like the crowd can feel it a bit, I think. Yeah, it's cool. And Jordan, like you are. Well, where's my? Sorry, a bit scrappy. I've lost my note. Where is it? So you played at the University of Whitewater. So obviously, George is from the UK, where there's no one really cares about any kind of basketball, really. Apart from street basketball, there's a decent scene, but there's not much going on. But on the flip side, you went to a university in America where you got to live and play because you play wheelchair basketball. Like the complete contrast of what we've got going on here compared to, well, there is a good program now, but it's a lot more accessible in America. So tell us a bit about yourself and what you've done, and yeah.
Yeah, so I'd so on the post you guys kind of mentioned that I'm from the state of Missouri. So about the time I was 15, that's your first year of high school here, I moved to the state of Wisconsin. And moving to the state of Wisconsin, I moved to a city called West Dallas, and it's really close to Milwaukee, right? So just more access to information, more people doing some things. So I was actually at that school one day and walked out of my school randomly. This lady came up to me and was like, "You need to play wheelchair basketball." And so that next Saturday, I ended up at the gym, like was there hanging out with like players and stuff and having a good time with that. But after you get introduced to it, you know that you start to figure out that you're traveling around the country and all these different kids are getting recruited by schools to play wheelchair basketball because of their basketball talent and different things like that. And I wasn't necessarily one of those kids that was super talented, but one of those kids that wanted to like continue my education. So I talked about moving to West Dallas. West Dallas is actually 45 minutes down one road from Whitewater. So contacted Opie and said, "Hey man, I really want to put some effort into being on the team. Like, what for me?" And Opie Dance, it was just like right before the semester started that year, I got an email like Opie addressed the whole team, being like, "Listen, this is what you need to know ready for conditioning and all different." So was super excited when I got that email. Showed up on campus. Like, again, we'll get more into the stories because me and you've had conversations about just talking about life and different things like that. But I was one of those kids that didn't have a chair and different things. So being able to go to this program in Wisconsin Whitewater that's got super structure and all these different chairs to be able to lend people and kind of introduce them to the game was super important to me. And had a lot of experiences at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater. Obviously, a great coach in Jeremy Lottie, if you guys know who he is. A lot of people call him Opie in the wheelchair basketball world over here, especially. And just learn from him how to be like a coach, really, because growing up, that's all I like really wanted to do. I was into everything, like everyone else, just watching coaches' interviews, watching players' interviews after the game, all those different things. So just really into sports, right? And then I'm getting all this top-end information from Opie and different things like that, and was able to use it to move on after Whitewater to continue to coach. So I coach, starting off, I coach little dudes in Milwaukee, in our Milwaukee program called Wausau, and that was super fun. Randomly got pushed into an opportunity to sit on the sideline for our varsity level team, which is everybody in high school, 15 to 18, that range where you're starting to kind of get looked at by schools and different things like that. And we had some success coaching them, and a lot of cool things happened with them. And it led to me actually being in the position I am now, right? So got to coach in the national championship game last year, NWBA junior division national championship game. And a lot of people saw that, and that was when Omaha gave me a call and said, "Hey, man, we could use your help kind of trying to build our program because we are a new program within the first 5 years and different things like that." So got that opportunity because, again, of coaching. And then after moving out here to Omaha, like I just love coaching so much, and especially like working with the kids. Like I moved on or not moved on, but also got the opportunity to coach a prep division team, which is again those little dudes about 6 to 14. And so I was doing that on the weekends as well, coaching them. Had a lot of fun doing that.
That's cool. And we've got a few pictures. We'll show them in a second. But like you said, you've coached the little dudes, and obviously, if my understanding is you've been disabled since birth, right?
Yes, sir. I have cerebral palsy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we call you, in our teams, we call you one of the real ones or day ones. Like, the real struggle. Like, we're just, like myself, I've got a spinal injury. So I'm just I'm classed as a wannabe in our team because I'm not a real crip, as they call us. But obviously, you're teaching them basketball. You're teaching them how to play pick and rolls and teaching them some skills in the chair. But I'm pretty sure you'll be teaching them how to live life to the fullest, right, as well? Because ultimately,
Yeah,
these kids need a bit of guidance from someone that's lived a little bit and that can, enrich their life, not just through getting fit and pushing a wheelchair. Rupert, could you show the pictures of Jordan's, please? Tell us about this picture.
Yeah, this is the varsity team. This was actually the first year. Yeah, this is the first year. We just finished third place at nationals. That was my first year kind of working with those guys. We kind of have had half a season of work. The year before this year, they had finished seventh, so we went from seventh to third. So That was what was cool about this picture in my eyes.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And this is me and my guy. I call him Joe Bags. We just saw a good play where five guys are moving together, picks and seals and different things like that. A nice layup, and me and Joey are just getting excited about the game of wheelchair basketball right here.
Cool, and I'm sure you're passing him on some life lessons as well. And tell us about this picture. Look at
yeah,
that.
For sure. I come from a state, Wisconsin. If you know anything about Wisconsin, people like to say we like to have a good time, and this was actually the year that the Wisconsin Badgers went to the Final Four and made it to the championship game. And again, my school was 45 minutes away from Madison too, which is the state capital of Wisconsin. And so we drove to Madison that day to go hang out with some Badger fans and root on the Badgers. And unfortunately, they weren't able to win, but everyone still got out on State Street, is what we call it, which is the main street of our capital. And we were out there having a good time celebrating the Badgers season that year, and got up in the air. This was funny because we did it. We had a good time or whatever. Didn't think too much of it, but my mom actually found it like the next day. And most people's moms would be like, "What are you doing on a Monday night? You're having a good time." But my mom was pretty excited about me being on the news and having a good time, and she bragged about it for sure. So that was cool.
Yeah, she should brag about it. It's awesome.
This is a picture from my playing days. This was actually, I think, our third and final national championship in a row. I just kind of threw this one out here because I have so much love for the Warhawks, the guy Opie here on the right side,
on the right,
and everything they've done for me, kind of that environment. So definitely wanted to show you guys a little bit of my Warhawk past too.
You're pretty honoured to have being coached by Jeremy as well. Like he's a legend in the game, isn't he? Absolute legend. It sounds like you're pretty close to him, so that's good for you, man. It's an honour, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've all seen Step Brothers, right? It's all about who you know, right?
Yeah.
Get connected. It's all about who you know.
Yeah. So George, you've just heard a little bit about wheelchair basketball. Like, what questions have you watched a little bit of basketball before today? And have you got any questions for us or anything like that? And what do you want to know about
I just want to ask about the youth, the way that the youth wheelchair basketball players can make their way up now. Is there a set program in America now? Is there high school leagues? Is there AAU for them? I don't know.
So yeah, explain, Jordan. It's your territory.
Yeah, so we have a governing body called the NWBA, the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, and so they kind of conduct all of our leagues. We used to have 3 leagues: prep, junior varsity, and varsity, and I think they've almost did away with like junior varsity as a division on its own. But prep is again a league for 6 to about 14-year-olds, and they play on a lowered hoop about 8.5 feet, and they do that until they're about 14. And then at the high school age, they go into that varsity level, right? And then they start actually playing on 10-foot hoops. And so what's nice about having the prep division and the varsity division together is those guys that are turning 13 and 14, they can still compete in the prep division and kind of learn things that way, as well as being able to contribute on their varsity teams and gain from learning experiences there too.
Wow, yeah.
And so as far as getting recruited, so you talk about getting recruited, you're on a varsity team, you travel around the country to play all these different teams from different states, and And what will happen is they'll, like you guys know how a wheelchair tournament's set up. Hopefully, it's it's consistent, but like all the teams will come to a central location, and then coaches are able to come from universities and different things. Those coaches are able to come and recruit kids at those tournaments, and that's how they kind of find out about college and different things.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough. I got selected to go to the University of Illinois for a training camp. Like, I don't know how long ago, a while. But I couldn't believe like the facilities and everything else, but also like the attitudes towards people with disability. Like, because obviously there's a wheelchair team that live on the campus, and in the UK, people generally, like, if they see you wheel past or two people in a wheelchair, they're going to stop and look, think, what's going on there? Like, well, or they just see someone disabled, they have a look. At the University of Illinois, after a few days, I was like, I missed it. I was like, why isn't no one looking at me? Like, why aren't people staring at me? But it's obviously because the people within that campus are so accustomed to seeing people in wheelchairs. It's normal, you know? And yeah, and I was like, why aren't people looking at us? And it made me realize, like, God, like, you just need to be exposed to wheelchairs and people with disabilities. It's not such a big deal. Like, you don't need to be so scared or freaked out or whatever. And I think that's what's so good about these university programs. Like, just so many people exposed to people that are not only intelligent and studying at university, but they're also like playing a sport at like a very high level as well, and just working as hard as everybody else on the campus, sort of thing. And it's like the exposure has shown that we're all just the same, really, no matter what. Yeah. Where are we at? Anything more to add, Jordan? Tell me, what do you...
Yeah, I can just kind of speak on that, right? And so just like the disability awareness that is created on these campuses, it just takes a lot of work. And so we have programs where freshmen, which is the first year of your college over here, they come in and they go to a new student seminar and learn everything about the campus. And so at Whitewater, I know for sure our wheelchair basketball team was connected with those classes, and we would set up where we'd have 3 of our athletes come in, tell them a little bit about ourselves, and tell them about the game, and actually give them a chance to play and different things like that. And so being on campus and to be able to be in those groups, and then again, Whitewater being able to benefit from being a little bit of a smaller place, it just connected us with our university and our students, and having those guys come out and celebrate us and think we're cool for playing wheelchair basketball was such a huge piece of why so many of us decided to go to Whitewater.
Yeah, and like you say, it makes you feel cool. Like, it's not cool, but they don't just think, oh, you poor disabled person, like wheeling about. Like, they're like, oh shit, that dude can hit some nice layups, or he's got a nice technique, or, you know, they can see that you've got a nice move, or whatever it is. But it gives you something to be a part of, and yeah, it does. It gives you a reason, doesn't it? And George, you mentioned something about how you feel like basketball connects a lot of people and things like that. Like, what? Like, tell us a bit more about that. What you said.
Well, I think it's one of the few sports that there's courts all over the place in LA where I live. So you can go to any park and you can play with anyone from any part of Los Angeles, which is a huge county, a huge city. So you never know who you're going to meet, never know who you're going to play with, even at the local gym, and everywhere. Everyone's pretty competitive too, you know, so it can start your arguments, but you can also meet a lot of cool people, and I've met a lot of people around LA because of it.
What, that you now call friends that you've met through basketball?
I mean, I wouldn't say like we hang out and stuff, but like it's just people that I know and people that I've met through playing, and that if I ever see them on the court, that I'm friendly towards them and I'll have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's cool about basketball.
One more.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask: is the wheelchair basketball community very tight knit? Is it a very tight knit community throughout the whole world, or is it separated from like America to England, or?
I don't know. In my opinion, I think it's a small world. Like, I'll be honest, I've spoke to Jordan on Facebook, but I've never met him, or I know what he's done, but just from the pictures that I see when he sent them to me, I'm like, oh, I know who that guy is. I know who that guy is. I know who this guy is. But I don't actually know who Jordan is. I do know who he is now, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's it's a very small. Maybe it's because I've seen a lot of it, but it's a small community to me. I don't know much about the youth that are coming up or anything like that, but to me, I think it's a small community. But I think it could be a lot better because some countries, they've got all the facilities in the world. Like they've got accessible gyms, wheelchairs, like they can use the gym when they want, but they don't know how to play the sport. Whereas on the flip side, you've got people in America that they've got all the talent, they've got all the knowledge because they understand the sport, because they watch it, like NBA and stuff, but they might not be able to afford a sports wheelchair to play it properly, or a decent wheelchair that's elite at the elite level to compete with the other countries that have the facilities, the wheelchairs, the knowledge, things like that. So I think if the community shared a bit more, I think it could be a little bit tighter. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jordan.
Yeah, I would just speak on that. Like, I would say there's people over in America that definitely have solid information and can teach the game, and there's people that are benefiting from some of those resources. But what like I said, it's all about who you know. And I kind of jokingly said that, but like once you get connected, right? Once I'm able to meet Mariska, Vanessa Erskine, Jake Williams, Matt Scott, like all those people that know people, right? Then I'm connected with people like Jack, and and that's kind of how it goes. But unfortunately, kind of the flip side of that is like when you are connected, it is really great, and you can find out a lot of different things and stuff like that. But when you're not connected, when you're a kid who's like me, when I first started out, it's really hard to get that information, right? And so that's part of the piece. What I want to bring to like the American wheelchair basketball game is just creating access to all of that information to kids that may not have a parent that can afford to get them a ball chair, and then not only afford to get them a ball chair, but afford to like take them to practice when it's an hour away or 2 hours away, because that's how far some of these kids travel. And then you're talking about travel on top of that. So just making sure that it's easier, and there's ways for people to understand how to make those things happen instead of looking at the situation and being like, oh, there's no way to make it happen. I just want to kind of give people some options on how to get stuff like that done.
That's cool because there's so much to offer, but like you say, it's hard to get hold of the information, or if you don't know, you just don't know, or like. But it's so easy to share information. Like if you've got it, just share it. Like people, I don't know, not want to keep onto it, but yeah, and like you said, the affordability and the logistics. Like George, you just said in LA, you can just go to any outdoor court and play basketball pretty much anywhere. It's free. You don't even need to technically have trainers to do it. You can be barefooted and just, have some clothes and a ball. Like you can do it. You don't need any special equipment. Whereas for the wheelchair basketball, to play it at a decent level and to be able to do it to the best of your ability, you need a chair that probably costs $5,000-6,000 dollars or something like that. How much is the top of the range before max? Do you know? I don't know, like roughly $5,000 or something.
Yeah, I think I was just having a conversation about that. Yeah, it's about that 5,000-6,000.
Yeah, and the best British basketball chair is like 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 pounds. And if you don't have one of them, if you have a chair that hasn't been made for you, that you can only afford to buy one for £500 or £1,000, like they're not good enough for you. Yes, you can work hard and get better, and work hard, you get what you're given, sort of thing. But you have to not have to be rich to be able to be the best. But it's so hard to be able to afford one of those chairs for any normal person, and then chuck in a disability without a job and just a benefit from the government or something. Like it's near impossible, right, to ever have one of them. But you might have someone that's sitting on a great talent that hasn't been seen because they live in a massive country, and they can't afford one of the best chairs. And that's something, like you say, you want to get the information out there. My mission is to make wheelchairs cheaper, so everyone can have a really good wheelchair to play in and compete. Because I've seen so many players with chairs. I'm like, if you had a chair that was measured to you, like that'd be a lot better than me. Like I'm like, you need a new chair. Like, but yeah, obviously people can't afford them, and yeah, it annoys me. So yeah, it sounds like we're on a similar sort of mission, just to make it more accessible, create more opportunities, and I know, like you said, it's being a part of something as well. And you've obviously experienced it, being young and disabled, and you need your outlet. You need to be a part of something, and it's creating those opportunities and outlets at the youngest possible age to feel normal. I assume I guess that's the goal, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people, what I think a lot of people are dealing with like these days is just struggling with being heard, right? And then just from my experience of having a disability and coming from the environment that I come from, it is a struggle, right? And then like we're talking about these opportunities and what they can do for people, and that's exactly what this gives kids a chance to do, right? Like it's what happened for me. So I just put the
Mm.
work in, and I was one of those kids that had the desire and was willing to fight and willing to not give up. But that's hard to do, you know what I'm saying? And so just to not make it so much of a struggle, so we can see more people come from places like I came from and end up like me and look at things in a positive light, so they can again live, right? It's about being able to
Mhm.
live instead of being stressed out all the time, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And yeah, speaking of stress, obviously it's Corona season right now. There's a lot going on. I think there's a lot of stress all across the world, and then obviously this thing happened with George Floyd, but obviously not. Well, it's fucking terrible. And I saw one of your Facebook statuses, Jordan, the other day. I was going to read it all, but it's pretty long, and I'm not very good at reading. But
Yeah, no, that's how
if
I
you
feel.
don't, if you don't mind, I'm just going to read the first few lines, and I hope you can like sort of give us a few words on what it says. But do you mind that? Is it okay?
Yeah, no, yeah, go do your thing, man. I'm down. Let's talk
Cool.
about it.
Okay, so it says, this is Jordan's Facebook status the other day. It says, I grew up poor, disabled and black, and I'm tired and sad. Tired of the daily grind of waking up and defending who I am. Yeah. It's about 4 more paragraphs, but it'd be a shit show if I try and read that out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I really want to take the chance to explain that, right? So I feel like I'm a really good communicator, but as far as communication, it really takes a set of people that are going to listen to what you have to say. And so what I mean by that is like I grew up poor, right? And so think about all the things that you're going to miss out on because you're poor, right? Because you don't have money to access to information like a ball chair or just to be able to connect it and go to a summer camp or something like that. So that's one of the things that I'm going through, right? And I wanted to be able to talk about that. And then I talk about being disabled. And then on top of that, like now I'm disabled, right? So now I'm going out trying to find all this information, and I don't have financial stability to go get myself a chair or different things like that. And now, and I'll go back to talking about being my experience with this, being a disabled person. It's much like what I'm hearing from Jack, right? It's just, um, like having those conversations with people. And then in America for so long, people have been don't ask questions. Don't go up to these people and ask questions because that's rude. And so much of who I am is being connected with people. And that's one of those things that just stresses me out, right? Is I want people to know about my disability so there's no gray area for confusion or whatever it may be. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm older now, so I'm the kind of person that can think things through and have those conversations and not get upset. But then again, like I'm thinking back to when I was a kid, right, and missing out and being able to having the ability to play football with my friends, but like my friend's not understanding that, right? And now you're expecting a kid with a disability to explain that to some other kids, so they haven't had the life experiences I've had, right? They haven't learned, so they're going through that, like. So that's one of my things that I talk about, right? And then just being black is just the current situation we're in, right? And a lot of the reasons I said, like what I said, was to make to make what people are trying to say more personal, right? Because right now we're in a situation where it's they and them and us and everything's so generalized, and it's hard for people to listen to what people had to say. And I know that people, when I talk about how I feel and what I had to say, I know that people support me and listen, and I wanted to use that as an opportunity to say, hey, look, this is my support group, and that's exactly what it took for me to be able to get through all of these things, and that's what we need to be for each other right now. And that's what I was trying to explain to people with that status, to communicate different things, communicate about your disability, so people know like how you want to be treated, like how, like what it's like to live like you know what I'm saying, and communicate that like you're upset and that you're frustrated with these things, because ultimately if you don't communicate those things, we get in a situation in America right now where again everyone's angry and nobody wants to listen.
Yeah. And it looks like just before we come on air, I was on Instagram and I saw, and it's actually in LA, George, so you might want to shut your windows, but there's like army in the street and stuff. in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, they put a curfew last night, 9:30.
Yeah, don't think that.
To stop the riots, I guess.
I'm not sure it worked. But yeah, there's someone that just saw his Instagram live or Facebook live, whatever, and he's by like an army truck, and there's loads of soldiers in the street and shit. Yes,
I'm in a pretty sheltered place, though.
Okay. And Jordan, you said like no one. So go on. No, sorry, go on, George.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that just because America's pretty segregated, so I'm in a pretty white, like, affluent area, and like I haven't really been able to see much of what's going on because pretty much people here they're in their own little world. So yeah.
Exactly. So Jordan, this is your time. You say no one wants to listen. You've got at least 2 people. I know Rupert's listening as well. Like, you've got at least 3 people that are definitely going to listen to anything you've got to say. Like, and it's just, yes, it's crazy. I try and sort of pretend there's nothing going on, but I just don't think. I think it's the time to act. Like, it's fucked. So I think, let's talk, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate that you guys are willing to listen. As far as getting super political and talking about my beliefs, as far as that, I just like I don't want to get anybody. So like, I'll just speak on the fact that we need to communicate, and if you can relate to it, then relate to it from like communicate about your disability, right? And like let people know that like you have a disability and these are the things you struggle with, but these are the things you can do. Like communicate those things. If you're Black and you're angry because of your life experiences and the things that you've been through, try to like explain those things to people. And like when they don't hear you, I know it's frustrating from a guy who's gotten angry and made mistakes, but try not to get angry. And if you're poor, like just keep asking questions. Like ask questions, get connected, get to know Opie Lottie, who's going to help you find a way to get your degree, and get to know Mike Holt, who's going to call you and offer you an opportunity to get your master's degree, and all the people in between that continue to help you get there. Like, try not to get upset, because getting upset and getting angry just limits you from taking a look at it and saying, here's what I can do versus here's what's getting in my way, and I'll just not do anything at all type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, and you're being crowd surfing in your wheelchair. Like I read something that you had written. It was something about tell kids how to get to the front of their favorite concert or something like that. Like, that's a big statement, because I've done that with my pal George a lot of times, and most people, even able-bodied people, wouldn't go to the front of an arena because they're a little bit scared because it might be a bit intense. If you've got the balls to do it in a wheelchair, I think you've got the balls to do anything. And that's what those kids need to see and hear. And I'm with you on that. I would never crowd surf like you have, though, because just no. So I'm not as bold as you, but and it's a really important message to give, like the getting to the front of the crowd and just being you and living your way sort of thing is it's important. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
It's kind of yeah, for sure. I kind of remember doing a project for one of my classes on African American culture, and I talked about Barack Obama becoming our president and what it means to like just see someone do something, right? To be able to see someone do something that for so long people have said you can't do, right? And so that's kind of how I try to live my life right now. It's just do stuff that people like have said for so long that I can't do. So some kid that's getting told, hey, you can't do this, and wants to maybe believe that they can't do it, can look at me and say, hey, wait a minute, I probably have some questions for you on your expectations for me. Because right now, expectations for people with disabilities are not very high. And that's kind of my thing that I'm kind of working to improve, is raise those expectations for people with disabilities so we can see more of us make an impact, for sure.
Yeah. I think the disabled person's point of view, and especially someone that's had a disability since birth, any person I meet with that's been disabled since birth, I always think they have a complete different insight to life and view on life to most people. And I think it's one that needs to be heard, because it's from day one. Like, you've got this shit. And you see the world a different way, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think, I've got a few friends, and your opinions and views and morals and stuff, your moral compasses seem to be a lot higher than others. I could be wrong, but Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say I agree with you, man, and it's funny that you're bringing that up because so much of people give me a hard time because I got cerebral palsy and everybody knows cerebral palsy. Like it's a stiff disability, you know. It's not your best athletes, slower guys, you know. Like even in my voice, sometimes I'm a little raspy and slow, but I give people a hard time about that. I'm just like life slowed me down, right? Life gave me a different understanding. Like I've been that kid that's been left out, right? I've been that kid that didn't get an opportunity and different things like that. And so just all of those understandings kind of like I would say help me relate to all those other different kinds of people that like are missing out. And if I can't relate to them, just the fact that I'm willing to listen because I've had my own experiences. I think that's what you get from having a disability from your early stages for sure.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Don't know where I'm at. I've lost my notes. I have actually got some, by the way, but they're all a bit jumbled. Yeah, it's all a bit deep. And again, I just feel like I'm trying to ignore what's going on out there, but it's so weird what's going on. Like the world is in a very strange place at the moment. It's hard to sort of forget about it, and I guess that's why we're all here now as well, because we've got nothing else to do. We're all stuck in our houses. We've got nowhere to go, but very weird. Yeah. So do you have any plans on playing basketball anytime soon, George? Like, I've told you about the guys at Venice Beach. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. George sounds like Jordan, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're loosening up restrictions in Los Angeles a little bit more. I don't know if that's for better or worse. No one can say really, but I think as soon as there's a park that's pretty close to my house, as soon as, you know, it's safe to do so, I think so with like maybe a 3-on-3 or even a 2-on-2 start playing then. Mm-hmm. And my friend has a half court in the back of his house too, but when I can go see him, I'll try.
You said you're in the rich, affluent area. You need to get some of those people to get some wheelchairs for our Crip gang. You need to get them to sponsor some teams. And that's what's disgusting about the teams in America, in my opinion, is like some of them are called like wheelchair Lakers or like LA Clipper chairman and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure those NBA teams have enough money to just chuck maybe £100,000 at a team or 200, you know, or dollars, whatever. Like
way more.
Well, exactly.
They could help out. They could help out so much. It's just whether
ridiculous.
They want to.
Yeah, and I don't know why they don't want
to. From my experience, I think it's just communication. We got to start really selling it to these people, right? We need someone, and I don't mean I'm a confident guy. If you get to know me over time, you'll know that like I like to hype myself up. That's how I've gotten to where I am. But we need people like me that can tell a story, right? That can sell it. Like people always tell me, Jordan, you're a salesman. You can do that on the side or something. Well, sell wheelchair basketball to these people for real, so they're willing to chuck the dollars at it. Because right now they see a bunch of little dudes rolling up and down the court and missing some shots, and rolling back down on the other end and missing some shots. Well, like eventually these dudes start learning. These dudes start like benefiting from the game. Like getting that information to these guys is important. And I think putting people in the right spots, the right people in the right spots to do that is also a part of getting connected with some of those NBA teams and making those things happen.
Well, I don't know if you know, this is
more information.
No, go on, George. Go.
I was just going to say, I didn't know about the cost of wheelchairs, and I think that's something that like it should be well more, you know, put out there that kids that have disabilities might not even be able to play in the first place because they can't even afford the right equipment. I think with more information, I'm already sold on wheelchair basketball. I'm definitely trying to keep up with more now after this. So yeah, you've got a new fan, and yeah, I think with more information to the public, I think you could definitely get more attention. It's a really cool sport.
Yeah, well, yeah, and as we like this vest here is, you both know who Meta World Peace is from.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to go on the Hoop Bus launch day, and I actually stole this from a court in Crenshaw in LA. Because I was playing as a wheelchair guy on the Panda team or whatever they're called. So I actually stole this, but yeah, like there's so much money to be around, and it's like I feel like we're getting a little bit closer with the circles we're mixing in, but it's just like literally all someone needs to do is chuck 100 grand, 200 grand at something, and it'd be like I'd never see anything like it. Like that Rebound DVD documentary, like that's really cool, but like that's just one team that's not even the top division, and that was made out like
exactly.
It was really
and that's
cool.
what we wanted to do.
Like it was awesome, but it's one team in one division that ain't even the top level, and that was sick. I think the more money that's chucked at this, the better. And the thing is, all these elite athletes, like people want to see people slam dunk, see them do this, see them do that. Like it's cool they can do that, but that's it. Like they might have a backstory to them, we don't know, but I can almost guarantee any wheelchair basketball team has got more interesting stories than not any team, but apart from that, maybe like the Chicago Bulls teams, things like that. But we're interested. We've got we are interested. A lot more interested in these people that are on the telly anyway. Wheelchair basketball needs money and equipment. But the problem with it is logistics and space. You buy someone a wheelchair for $6,000, they might not have anywhere to put it, or no means to get it to the court. Like you can't just get there and that again, it's just. And this is the thing, it's easier not to get involved because it's so expensive or it's logistically a nightmare. It's easier just I won't bother. But there's people like Jordan and myself and a few others that you have to just keep pushing and push. And we're getting there. I'm sure we are. George, tell your rich mum friends, give us some money, please. Please. Anything to add, George or Jordan? If I'm rambling too much now. Maybe cut off.
No, man, just if you're sharing it and you're passionate, that's our job right now as wheelchair basketball enthusiasts. Our job is to share that information, man. So for you to say you're a fan, just keep sharing it, keep telling people that we're out there, and that's going to be a big piece of us improving what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think street ball needs to be pushed to more and more as much as possible. People need to be out in the street courts playing pickup games. Like, I know it's hard again because the country's massive and there's not disabled people everywhere. But if people know that once a month you're going to meet at whatever court or, just some stuff going that isn't the regular 5-on-5. So it's more like the social side of it. Like we're all going to meet at the park. Yeah, we might play some basketball, but we're going to have a couple of beers and a barbecue. You know what I mean? Like the social side of it and teach the life lessons that you're more than capable of teaching to these kids and stuff. Like there's a scene away from the regimented normal stuff, or should be, in my opinion. Where we at?
No, so I would just comment on that. Like people are starting to do those things here in the United States. As far as there's a tournament called DK3. Dave Padley is a guy that may ring a bell to you, Jack, but he's traveling around the country against superstars from Perform Max and different things that represent them and set up tournaments, and they have different flavors and sometimes do better in exclusive tournaments and women better in exclusive tournaments and different things like that. So like I know that they're doing some super fly stuff like that, 3-on-3 outdoor, being outside and kind of showing off to people. So that is starting to happen for sure.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play in the DK3 in Los Angeles in October. Luckily. Was you there, George, then? Did I see you then? Or not?
No, you saw my whole family except for me. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I didn't meet you, but maybe I did. I don't know.
Yeah, sure you didn't. Yeah.
Cool.
No, I wish I came.
Yeah, the street ball.
Yeah.
Oh, next time. Well, as soon as this Corona stuff's over, we're planning trips. So, yeah, we'll be there as soon as we can. And Jordan, you need to get involved as well. We're planning all sorts of stuff. We're spending all our own funds at the moment, and that's fine. But we know that if with a little bit of planning and a little bit of money, we could make the coolest movies, not movies, but, we could make some really cool stuff and just interesting stories and life lessons for the world to hear sort of thing, because we've got stories to tell and life lessons to teach. Yeah. Jordan, tell George a few other things about wheelchair basketball, like what makes, why you're so passionate about it. Because he's a new fan, so just make him more of a fan.
Yeah. So as far as why like I'm so passionate, I gotta give more credit to Whitewater again. Just like having that environment where you walk into a gym and right away like you have those expectations that I was kind of talking about are put on people with disabilities. So like one of the things I always like text my coach right whenever I'm worried about doing something new is this expectations aren't a bad thing, and that's what he always told me. Like I would get frustrated or whatever, and he'd just be like, listen, Jordan, expectations aren't a bad thing. And so, I mean, just being able to go in there and have somebody hold me accountable and have my teammates do that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, like 6:30 in the morning, scrimmaging again later at night, lifting, and like being able to be a part of that, just feel the passion, and then being able to go like one of my most fun experiences, right? I'm a guy that sat on the end of the bench, and later in my career, I was able to work in some playing time and be more influential on the team for sure. But I remember it being my sophomore year, and our lineup was like Ben Kenyon, Jake Williams, Bisnet, who a lot of you guys don't know because after his college like, career, he kind of said, go a different path other than Wheelchair. Was one of the top 35 in my opinion, one of the best wheelchair basketball players I've ever seen the game, play the game, and just that lineup was cool. And then also had
Sorry, Jordan, I've got to cut you. Sorry, Jordan, I've got to cut you short. I should have been looking at the messages from Rupert. He said, probably quite a while ago now, he says you need to refresh your browser because it keeps breaking up and it's quite laggy.
Okay.
I probably should have told you a few minutes ago. I don't know, that might kick you off the chat. Who knows? Yeah, you refresh your audio. What's going on? You still there, George? Yeah?
I'm still here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear you, Jordan.
Am I lagging?
It did cut out a little bit, but I think we need to do this again, Jordan, because not do it again, but you've got a lot to say, and I want to not give you your own show, but I want you to. You've got a lot to share, and you keep lagging, and I know you're spreading some gold, and we're missing it. It's annoying.
As far as doing it again, man, I got like, when you talk about me getting connected, all it takes is people asking me and reaching out. Like I said, I'm a guy through my experiences. It's just continue to ask questions and like to try to make things happen for myself. So if people get involved and say they want to work and happen, I'm one of those guys who's trying to get involved in that for sure.
Yeah.
And I definitely see myself cutting out in the bottom corner down here.
Sorry, say that again.
I said I see myself cutting out down. I can see myself in the bottom right corner. I can see myself cutting out.
We've got a video. So, Rupert, could you play the video, please? Just Jordan's connection might sort out by then. This is a video of you, Jordan, that you sent me.
Hey guys, came up with a cool way to kind of continue to get my message across. I know I'm a guy who, when he learns, likes to see things over and over again. So the setup of this video is going to be, I will show you guys the play, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it, break it down a little bit, and then I'll show you guys the play again. And what you'll kind of see is, even though I do a good job of breaking it down and coming up with a bunch of different options for my team to be successful, there's still more opportunities that could be taken advantage of, right? So if I get your guys' input right, all that does is create a conversation of information about wheelchair basketball.
So yeah, I can talk about this if you hear me a little bit.
Yeah, talk. That's perfect. Yeah, talk.
So this is just my favorite game. Like I love this game. I love working with these kids, and I've watched it like hundreds of times, right? And so I've just taken that and started at the very basic level to.
All right, these green spaces are where I want my players to be. Obviously, I want Mora to come up and get big wheel contact here. Travis to come and get big wheel contact there. What Mora can do is come take a nice angle and set this pick. Boom. I have it in red because it's a missed one. And then Travis can come and set this pick. I have it in red because he doesn't really come and do it with speed and intensity as we see, right? And so if he does it with speed and intensity, Evan's job is going to be to attack, right? So to get space nice and wide and to make the defense have to make decisions. So here we'll take a huge look at.
So the reason I started making these videos is because again, like giving people that information to the coaching aspect of it. Like, what am I specifically telling my kids versus just going and telling them to get a pick or telling them to steal, and then everyone being frustrated, making sure you're super specific about that, and teaching people the rotations, right? Because we talk about being America and having access to all these different facilities, but I still think we lag behind just like anyone else as far as teaching the game and explaining it to our young athletes. And this is hopefully something that's really specific to them and can give them that information.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'll be honest with you, Jordan. I didn't actually watch this video that you sent me. I watched the first 10 seconds. Like, yep, cool. It looks good enough. Sent it to Rupert. This is amazing. Yeah, if you want to come live in England, I've got somewhere for you to live and you can be our coach. If you ever want to live in England, just let me know. You've got a job for you. No shit.
Hey, man, I got a lot of friends that would get really excited about you saying like that, big dog.
I'm not chatting shit. I mean it. Get on the plane now. We need a coach because I don't want to be the coach. I want to play. So we need a coach and someone with this amount of passion. The door's open whenever you're ready, pal. Get out.
Hey man, that's honestly the dream though. It's just be able to see life, like, right, gain new experiences, do things like go to different countries and be able to teach. And I want, like, that's honestly a goal for me. It is to be able to do those things for sure. So yeah, and you see in these videos, right? I didn't do necessarily a good job of playing the play after I broke it down like I said I would, and that was just coming from trying to edit it and then clipping things out and not being so good at computers. But that's kind of the goal in the future. Show the play, run through all the dynamics of what I see, and then show it again so people can go, oh, okay, that's what Jordan said, right? But then now Jordan looks at this again, but look here and here. And then just to speak on that again, if you're a player that played for me, that's how I coach too. Like, I mean, I'm close from the NH to high school athletes. I mean, I like to say I am now, but I'm kind of getting down there. But you know, I can relate to it. So we have conversations. They give me a hard time. We talk trash to each other. And they have a voice in our huddle, and it's a constant conversation about what could be better and what could be done. And I'm willing to admit I'm wrong, and my players have been a part of that. And it's just been a fun experience being able to teach that way, like giving their voice.
Awesome. Yeah, there's some serious passion there. Like you just said, you're not very good with computers and stuff, and you're probably fully aware that you're not, but you put in you can see a lot of effort to be good enough at computers to make that video, and that's I can appreciate, because I've tried to make some videos on for our promo and stuff, and it's hard work. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I really mean it. Whenever you want to come to England, there's a door open and there's a bedroom for you, and I mean it. At our basketball house, like, you're welcome anytime.
Hey man, I appreciate that, and that's something I'll definitely be thinking about. Trust me, I'll definitely be thinking about every opportunity to do that, and that sounds awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
And George will bring his camera and document the whole thing, make a cool video.
Of course, yeah.
There we go. We got to find people to be strong at what we're not so strong at.
That's it. And again, I'm not gonna, not talk too much about it, but it's a very, very different situation. But George's father, he makes films and movies and stuff, and he took an opportunity, or made the most of an opportunity, or just went for it. Like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it after some horrible stuff that happened. But this is why George is able to sit where he is in this beautiful house, wherever it is in Los Angeles, because his dad went for it, just bit the bullet and thought, I'm going to go for it, and went for it, and probably never looked back since. And it's a complete different struggle to that yourself and other people go through, and that other people are going through at the moment. But it's just, just making the most of the opportunity and going for it and seeing what happens. It doesn't matter if you fail, does it? Like, who knows what can happen?
Yeah. And you know what? I just really quick, I'd love to speak on that, and because again, I'll talk. I've said to in conversations with my mom, I'm really close with her, but it takes a lot of confidence to be able to fail as much as I have, right? And so what I mean by that, right, is you fail at something and you don't want to do it anymore because it sucks to lose. And I'm a guy who's won a lot in my wheelchair basketball career, so I would definitely agree with anybody who says that to me, right? And so to be able to not be so good at wheelchair basketball and still show up at 6:30 in the morning every day, Monday through Friday, and sit on the end of the bench when it came to the game and maybe get a little bit of playing time, and that takes a lot of confidence, right? It takes a lot of confidence to barely get into grad school and not be like when it comes down to it, I'll be honest with you guys. Like I'm probably the worst student in every one of my grad classes, right? So like it takes a lot of confidence for my teachers to call me out like on easy questions and be like, "Hey Jordan, what's the answer to this?" And it's an easy question, I know it, but like I'm in grad school, I'm all fired up, and I get it wrong, and maybe somebody gives me a hard time, but then I got to go to class the next week, right? And that takes a lot of confidence to be able to do because all of those situations can suck. Like it can suck to not be good. I understand that. And so that's kind of my philosophy is just banking on all this confidence I got to keep on losing, but keep on coming back until I win.
Yes, Jordan. I love it. See, this is why you need to follow this guy around with the camera, George. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel really bad. Like, again, this is such a great opportunity for me, but I've got to stay, same as you, I've got to stay true to my word. So I've got a half court outside and my friend's turning up at 6 o'clock and I can't be late. Well, I can be late, but, I've got to stay true to my word to everyone. So I'm actually going to have to go in a minute. But one quick question, George, what does it say on your jumper? It looks like a cool jumper. What does it say?
It's
this is just every day. Oh, okay. Sorry, it said George. I'm gonna figure it out. I just gotta talk to you a little bit. Do your thing, man.
It just says Lost Art. It's like a skateboarding like clothing brand out of Liverpool that my uncle is a part of.
Ah, cool.
So yeah,
plug there.
I got this for my birthday. So yeah, I like it.
Oh, cool. Little plug. What? You've just got a basic T-shirt on, Jordan, yeah? You just already told us.
Yeah, I just got a tournament T-shirt. Ever since I started coaching, I don't buy any more T-shirts. They give them up to me.
So that is cool. I'm the same, man. I've got so many T-shirts now that I get for free or acquire from basketball stuff. And I only feel happy when I'm wearing one of my T-shirts that has got a memory attached to it that's from a tournament or something. Like if I just get a fresh Nike T-shirt and I'm like, oh, this is dead. Like I don't care about this T-shirt. Like I need to put something with a little bit of feeling, to be honest.
There's no story behind this one.
Sorry?
I said there's no story behind those nice designer shirts. You put some work in at one of these tournaments, kick some butt, you want to remember it. Remind yourself, you won that one. Pretty sure we won this tournament too. That's nice to wear that around.
It's funny because the T-shirts I have, we never win. So mine are more like the stories that happen after the tournaments. But yeah, I ain't got many winners T-shirts, I have to admit. It's a different vibe. But yeah. So yeah, thanks for your time, George. And have you got anything else to say, George? Any more questions? Anything you want to add? Or
just thank you for having me on. It was really cool to listen about your two experiences with wheelchair basketball. Yeah. And thanks to Jordan to telling me more about the American side of it too. Yeah.
Cool. Well.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I would just say. Thanks to George for being able to listen and being here. You asked some great questions to kind of keep the flow going, man. So that was super cool. And Jack, man, I appreciate the opportunity, and I want to keep working with you and again keep those connections up so we can continue to do things like this. So thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate both of you, but most importantly, Rupert and his family for putting up with me and asking him to do stuff in an erratic manner. Yeah, so we'll be back, and George, we'll stay in contact and have a nice day. I'm going to go and play basketball with my friend at a social distance.
Lucky you.
At a social distance, though. So yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys.
It's time to work on your threes, man.
Oh no, I can't shoot that far. No, I can really.
You gotta work on the social distance. You might as well work on that 3-point range.
Good point. All right, cool. Appreciate it, lads. We'll speak soon.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right.